Yeah. Well, it's been fun. We started practice on January 9th. We started scrimmage. Today will be our fourth scrimmage. So we're really just getting started, but it's really been fun, and the expectations and excitement is at a all-time high. It reminds me of the 2020 season. We knew we were good going into 2020, and we know we have the potential to be good going into this season. And so pretty easy to get out of bed in the morning. You wake up smiling and happy when you come to the ballpark, when you have the type of ball club that we have. And I think that the one thing that stood out to me is the amount of depth that we have. I asked the coaching staff last night, give me a lineup based on defense, give me a lineup based on offense, give me a lineup based on intangibles, the kids that are warriors, kids that work hard. And there's just so many different ways we can go with our team and our lineup and win. I feel like there's a lot of different ways. So the competition in practice on a daily basis is at an all-time high, and that's always good. That pushes things. And then the part that makes that really special is the maturity of the kids, the way they respect each other, and the competition has been really high level of competition, yet high level of character and quality of individuals on our ball club. So it's been a really fun training camp so far. We've still got 3 weeks to go, and it'll get more intense as we get through and we get going, but really a fun preseason so far.
Coach, 10 players returning, 8 of them were all-conference selections last year. For you and your coaching staff, looking at those numbers and who's back, how can you build off of last year heading into 2020?
Yeah, I think that's our challenge, is to make sure that we come back bigger, better, faster, stronger, more mature, and just improve in every area. That's the challenge to our ball club, and that's what we're trying to do. Obviously, it's great to have all that coming back, and we feel like the freshman class, you've heard the girls talk about how hard they're working, and there's so many immensely talented freshman players. So, yeah, they just, it's all good, and that's just stuff that we'll deal with. For us as a coaching staff, picking out that lineup that we start the season with is going to be really tricky, and we want to be sure we get it right and let the kids determine that on the field.
In these next 3 weeks, what are some of the things that you're hoping to see a little more of that you may not have seen yet, or maybe not as much as you would like, heading up to the season opener?
Yeah, our pitchers have come out really well. They're healthy. They're throwing really elite level for this time of year, and our hitters are catching up to the pitchers still. So I like to see our hitting and our offense get better. I think the pitchers have definitely won the first week of season, and we need to get better offensively. And then defensively is a continual challenge for our ball club, and definitely the area of the game that we've got the most room for improvement in.
Coach, what's the importance level of having so much depth at pitcher, especially when you play a schedule like you're planning to play, and then where you want to go? Talk to me about that and the importance of having that depth in the circle.
Yeah, well, when you go to Florida, you're playing 7 games there in about a 6-day window, and then you come right home from there, and you've got 3 SEC games with LSU and Ole Miss immediately following that in the next 6 days. And then you go on the road to Texas, and then you go on the road to Florida. So it's really important to have depth. And we know we're going to have injuries when you're traveling through airports. You're going to have, kids get sick. That's just part of it today. And the other part is it's a luxury when you have depth. It allows you to take care of your pitchers. So they get a little bit of tendonitis, they get a little bit of soreness in their arm. You can shut them down. It's a little easier to shut them down when you've got a quality pitcher in your bullpen waiting to throw. So there's a lot of advantage to that. And then the competitive aspect where they get in that bullpen every day, they know, there's a lot of upper 60 arms in that bullpen right now, and their change-ups, there's kids with elite change-ups, and all of a sudden we're seeing kids that last year had a good change-up, they have an elite change-up now. So I think that everyday competition in the bullpen is just really paying dividends for us, and it's all magnified by how good of people they are. Like, they're tremendous they're just tremendous young women that have found a way to coexist and make it a really pleasant experience for all of the coaches and the players.
Coach, obviously you set the expectation for the team and set the standard of where you want this team to go, where you see them being. But to hear your players saying, like, yes, we want to host a regional. Yes, we see ourselves in the College World Series. What does that do for you, knowing the work that they're putting in and where you guys look to go as the season progresses?
Well, when we recruited this particular team, that was the expectation and the promise from our coaching staff. Like, we want to go to the World Series, and we want to bring you in here to take us to the World Series, and we're going to do what it takes to get you there when you get here. And to give the kids a realistic chance to get there, you want to give them a schedule that allow them to find out their weaknesses early in the year and grow from there. And then if they meet those early season challenges and win enough of those games, it's very obvious the schedule would allow them to host not only a regional, but a super regional, if they can meet those early season challenges. And if we don't, then we're going to learn from those experiences, and hopefully we'll be a better ball club in the regional and super regional later in the year if we go on the road. And you look at Texas last year, great example. They went to Florida, didn't win a single game. They took it on the nose a little bit early, but they got better, and they ended up runner-up national champion. So I think you got examples like that, and you got example of Central Florida is a mid-major that played a very competitive schedule last year, ended up getting seeded to host a regional because they won enough games. And that's obviously we're in them to win them. That's why we scheduled them. We think we can win enough of those games, but we're also realistic. And if we compete and don't get the job done early, then we'll try to get the job done late. So it's a win-win no matter as long as you get that competition. And to schedule that kind of schedule, you got to have talent. Like, I'm never going to schedule that kind of schedule if I don't have a team that I think can compete with it. And that's what I told the kids the first team meeting in January. I said, if you don't think I believe in you, look at the schedule. I believe in you, or I wouldn't schedule the way I scheduled. So I'm excited about it. They're excited about it. Definitely makes it easy to practice every day when you know what you've got waiting for you the second week of season in Florida.
The second year with Justin, you talked about getting out of the bed with a smile on your face. I know you were confident in him, or you wouldn't have hired him last year, and yet it was still an experiment. And you could tell by the end of the year that the experiment worked. So where can y'all get even better with that whole process this year?
Yeah, I mean, Justin is a special young coach, and he's a special young man. But that said, we threw him in the fire. We took him from baseball to softball, and he met every challenge and he met every expectation. But we raised the bar a little bit this year. He's going to be able to do more because he's seen our sport now. He was able to see things not only during the season, like during the summer, we exposed him a little bit to the pro league ball and upper level pitching, and he just has a better understanding now of what our sport is, and he understands our kids better. I mean, it wouldn't matter if he'd had 20 years experience. First day he worked in the fall with Megan Shorman, it's the first day. The first day he worked with Sam Grader, Sam Landry, it was the first day, and Carly Heath, and so on. So he's just been a really a smash hit with our girls in the bullpen. You can tell that by talking to them, and they've grown. They've developed relationships, and they've developed expectations. And I look for Justin our pitching staff to really blow up this spring.
Team chemistry is super important in sports, especially in a diamond sport like softball. Where do you think the team chemistry is at heading into the season?
It's the best we've had since we've been here. This is my 6th year, and we had great chemistry in 2020. We had really high-level chemistry, but this team is on par with that. Maybe exceeds it because we had a lot of transfers in that class, so they were kind of getting to know each other. They were very, enormously talented and enormously experienced. This team has kind of grown for 2 years together, and more of a planned roster. So it couldn't be better right now. Now, there'll be challenges when we get to opening weekend and we get to Florida, because we're going to be trying to win these early season games. There's going to be very little room for experimenting early. the room for experimenting for us will be in the second half when we get to the Sun Belt games. Then we can look at things. If something's not been working, we think we got room, or we got a freshman, we want to get experience. It'll be in the second half of the season compared to what most schools do. So that'll challenge us a little bit, and we'll have to have leadership to get through those moments. But they're just phenomenal young women, and I have no doubt we will get through it.
Coach, I'm curious, how does the transfer portal affect softball? Is it similar to the football realm, or can you take advantage of that, and has that hurt you?
Yeah, it has. I mean, the transfer portal can affect you in any sport, good or bad. I mean, and sometimes you don't have control of that. I think that we benefited from the transfer portal early in my time here. We lost, I guess, immediately when I got here. We'd lost 13, 14 players that disappeared from the roster in that early stages, and then we picked up a lot of talent from the transfer portal and benefited from it. But I want the transfer portal and my plan is like to make it as minimal effect on our program as possible, both in the loss of players. I want to minimize the loss of players. I want to minimize the impact or the amount of transfers that we bring in. I want to live and die with these high school kids that we recruit and develop. That's my plan. That's what I'd like to do. As long as we have success keeping our players here in town and keeping them enrolled in Louisiana, that'll be the way it'll stay. Nothing's been more fun than watching a great young talent like, Alexa Langeliers develop, Sam Landry, Kayla Falterman, Maddie Hayden. It's really fun to watch those kids come in and develop. Maya Davis is going to be a special player for us. I like seeing that. I like doing that, and then we'll let the game play. But the transfer portal is a huge factor for every sport and for every coach. And I can honestly say, like, I coach different because of the transfer portal than I did 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm more careful about what I say, how I say it. And that's probably not a bad thing. That's probably a really good thing. But the awareness of the transfer portal is a major thing. And we were lucky. I mean, we didn't have anyone go in the transfer portal at the end of fall. We didn't have anyone go in the transfer portal in June last year. It's just a factor that's there, and it's easy for the kids to move. It's easy for the kids to leave a program and go to another program. That's good and bad, but it is definitely a factor.
How about running? How much have you noticed because of your schedule? Is that tentative? It seems like you got girls that can really run.
Yeah, we're fast. This is a fast team. We're fast on defense. We're fast on offense. We have a very athletic ball club. And so we'll have the potential, if we want to run, if we want to open it up and gamble and take chances. Definitely they have the potential to do that. So we'll have to kind of get a feel for, whether we want to gamble on injuries, whether we want to take the bat out of our hand some and protect runners while they steal. So I know we'll run some. Whether we run to the extent that we've ran the last 2 or 3 years, I'm not sure of that. We're the fastest ball club I think we've ever had in my 6 years. I have no doubt this is the fastest team, but I also think we hit the ball well enough. I'm not sure we need to steal bases. I think we can just take bases with our offense, or I guess I hope that's the way it goes. Now, some players, it's definitely Stormy and Maddie Hayden, I think, stole 40 or 50 bases last year between them. Maya Davis could steal 50 bases by herself if that's all we wanted to do. She's got the same impact on the game like a Keely Milligan. If we want to lay that out there, she's also a very good outfielder. Every time you steal a base, there's a chance of an injury. So we're going to have to pick and choose our battles on that, and we'll let the season determine how we want to play.
Coach, when Stormy was speaking with us earlier, she said that when y'all left Clemson, It felt like there was a message that was undelivered. Do you feel like the team has a collective chip on their shoulder heading into this year after the way things ended?
I don't know if it's a chip, but it's definitely a determination to get to Oklahoma City. I think these are elite athletes that want to play the game of college softball at the highest level, and that includes Oklahoma City. And they feel like they have the talent to get there, and they're very, very determined ball club. And perhaps for some players like Stormy, that it did create a chip on their shoulder. I think it developed a hunger in every player. And then I think the freshmen coming in, they came here for a reason. They want to go to Oklahoma City. So it didn't hurt us. You know, failure is always a good thing if you handle it correctly.
Coach, I got something. Just so, is there any team you schedule this tough schedule? Is there any team that you wanted to get on your schedule that you didn't, or are you pretty solid with the ones you got?
Yeah, I mean, there was teams that we talked about going. We tried to work it out to go to Oklahoma State or get with Oklahoma State, and we couldn't do it at their place. I'd love to go to play up at Kenny's place in Oklahoma. Maybe next year we're going to try to do that, but we end up getting a game with them in Florida. You know, there's always additions or subtractions that you could make or look back on, but it's a solid schedule. It's everything we need to get what we want, which is hopefully we can get into that. Number one on your schedule, you want to prepare you for the postseason. And then number two, you'd like your schedule to give you a chance to host a regional. And then if you're lucky enough to get that schedule, then you hope that if you play it really well, it would get you a super regional, which is really tricky for a mid-major. But I think it is because the games are on the road. If they were all at home, you know, the fact that so many of the games are on the road, if we can, I don't even think we have to go 500. If we can get in that 7-9 range, 8-8 range, on those top 25 type programs, I think we'll be very much considered for a super regional if we can do that. But you know, we got to take it one game at a time and just hope we get off to start. We could go 3-18 and it prepares for the postseason and help us win a regional on the road. We got to play the season one game at a time.